Welcome to Washington. I'm Bret Baier, and this is a Fox News alert. Congress has given President Obama a small victory in his effort to close the detainee prison at Guantanamo Bay. Senators have approved this afternoon a plan to permit suspects to be shipped to U.S. soil to face criminal trial. The move comes on the same day the Supreme Court agreed to decide whether a group of detainees can be released into the U.S. That case, you may remember, involves Chinese Muslims who were brought to the Guantanamo Bay prison shortly after the 9/11 attacks. National correspondent Catherine Herridge is live from the naval base in Cuba. Good evening, Catherine.
Bret, this decision by Congress brings the president one step closer to his stated goal of closing Guantanamo Bay by January of next year with his signature. Some detainees, including the 9/11 conspirators, can be brought to the U.S. to stand trial if that is ultimately what the administration decides. This, of course, comes on the same day the Supreme Court has agreed to take a controversial Guantanamo case. Given that 4 of the Uyghurs, Chinese Muslims, now live in Bermuda, where they were transferred by the Obama administration earlier this year, the Supreme Court will now consider the case of the remaining 13 at Guantanamo's Camp Iguana. The question before the High Court is whether a federal judge has the right to release former detainees into the U.S. when there is no other option. In this case, the Uyghurs claim they would be killed or tortured by the Chinese. A federal appeals court ruled it was only the executive branch which has the authority to admit foreign nationals to the country. This will be the first Guantanamo case argued by the Obama administration before the court. A lawyer for the Uyghurs said in a statement, "We hope this will result in a ruling that confirms that the writ of habeas corpus guarantees to the innocent not just a judge's learned essay, but something meaningful, his release."
The Obama administration's position is that a federal court has no business directing the president to bring these individuals into the United States and release them.
It's worth noting that an incident with the Uyghurs earlier this year was, according to multiple sources, highly embarrassing for both the White House and Defense Department. The detainees held up signs which compared the U.S. to Hitler and attacked the president.
What is the difference between communist and democracy?
Since then, media access to the camps has been reined in. No longer can reporters who cover the military commissions in this courtroom also tour the prisons on the same trip.
Nothing is transparent over there.
After Fox's reporting, Senator Jim Inhofe, a senior Republican on the Armed Services Committee, sent this letter to the White House, questioning whether there is a change in policy which now limits the media. It now appears that members of the media must plan, schedule, and fund separate trips to cover either the military commissions or the detention facility, Inhofe wrote. This directly impacts worldwide press access to Gitmo.
This president just has this obsession to close it and bring those terrorists somewhere in the United States. And I don't think that they want people to know how well that place is managed.
While candidate Obama promised transparency, 9 months into his term, the president's own supporters on the left seem deflated. In a recent interview at the military base, the ACLU said efforts to limit media coverage grate against the administration's own pledges.
Members of the media have an important role to play in informing the American public about whether or not the conditions of confinement are actually humane. Asking the question, seeing it with their very own eyes. Taking the government's word for it is just not sufficient.
At the Defense Department briefing, a spokesman was combative.
I'm not so sure the policy has changed. If Fox is having a particular issue, getting an opportunity to go down there and see the detention facilities for the 100th or 150th time, I'd be happy to try to work with you to figure out an opportunity to do so. Okay?
And late today, a Pentagon spokesman, Colonel Dave LePan, told Fox, sometimes it's the logistics piece of it and the number of people it takes to do these separate and distinct missions. However, a public information officer here at the base told us today that there was, in fact, a press trip to the detention camps for Greek television and a London newspaper, Bret.
Catherine Herridge, live at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Catherine, thank you. A scientist credited with helping discover evidence of water on the moon and who worked on the Reagan administration's Star Wars defense plan was in federal court today.